It was late on a Wednesday night, and I was tossing and turning in bed, the blankets twisting around me. I had woken up for the third time that night, and I was staring at my phone clock, which read 2:45 a.m. I groaned and slammed my phone down on the night table. This was becoming a problem. In the past several months, I couldn't remember one night I'd slept through. I always woke up intermittently for no good reason. It got so bad that I stopped looking forward to going to bed at night, something I used to enjoy. The next morning, after dragging myself out of bed, I sat half asleep at work. My eyes felt like they were on fire. "Wow, you look like shit today," Lily said, cornering me in the office kitchen. She was my closest work friend and was known for her brutal honesty. "Thanks for that," I croaked. "I'm so tired. I really haven't been sleeping well lately. I keep waking up a million times throughout the night." "Insomnia sucks," she sympathized. "You know what helps me sleep? I have my Alexa play rainforest sounds. It's super relaxing." "I don't have one of those." She pointed to my phone on the counter. "Download a sleep sounds app on your phone." Once I got back to my desk, I ignored the work I had to do and searched for an app that would play sleep sounds. I hoped it would relax me enough to let me get a good night's sleep for once. I scrolled through the choices, trying to avoid any ones that cost money. Towards the bottom of the list, I found one called ReapSleep. The app's icon showed a drawing of a person in a deep sleep, with little Z's floating through the air. It boasted having lots of choices for different sounds, all at no cost. It had no user reviews, but I just figured it was brand new. I downloaded it immediately. That night, I was eager to try out the app. I selected ocean sounds. I always loved the beach, given that I lived a little over a mile from a beautiful one. I cranked up the volume on my phone, and the tranquil sound of waves crashing and seagulls cawing filled my ears. Immediately, a wonderful calming feeling swept over me, and I got comfortable in my bed, sighing happily. I couldn't remember ever sleeping so well. I even had an amazingly relaxing dream where I was on the beach during a warm summer day, the sky a brilliant blue. The beach was totally empty, except for one woman far in the distance. I could feel the sun warming my skin and the soft sand between my toes. The waves crashed gently, and I smelled the salt water. "This is much more pleasant for me to look at," Lily said to me at work the next day. She had noticed I was well rested, my skin almost glowing. "I slept better than ever last night," I exclaimed. "I took your advice and downloaded a sleep sounds app. This thing is amazing. The sounds it played made me have the most relaxing dreams." Lily took out her phone. "Now I want to try it. It's called ReapSleep." I looked over her shoulder as she searched for it. No results for ReapSleep. "Wow, that's weird," I said. Maybe it got removed from the App Store for some reason. That night, I realized I was finally looking forward to going to bed again. I cuddled up against my soft pillows as the ocean sound swept over me, lulling me to sleep almost immediately. I was back on the beach again, the waves crashing in front of me. I lay down on the sand, inviting the sunlight to touch my skin. I looked at the sky and noticed it was slightly overcast this time. A few clouds hindering the sun's rays. Once again, the beach was empty, except for a woman in the distance. But she didn't seem as far away as last time. I could make out that she was raven-haired, and and wore a crimson flowy dress that rippled in the breeze. I woke up and saw it was still dark out. I was disappointed I wouldn't get another perfect night's sleep. The ocean sounds were still playing, but I realized that something was different this time. There was some kind of piercing noise interspersed in the wave sounds. I picked my phone up and brought it closer to hear better. It sounded like seagull sounds, but far less pleasant than the night before. It sounded high-pitched, almost like the seagulls were screaming. Luckily, the app had an option to remove the seagull sounds and just keep the waves, so I opted for that the next night. I drifted to sleep and wasn't surprised to find myself back on the beach. It was considerably darker than last time, as numerous gray clouds hung around in the sky, blocking out the sun entirely. The sound of the waves crashing was almost deafening, and the water looked murky. I looked down the beach and saw the woman again, this time about 30 feet away. Her dark hair was swept around her pale face by the strong wind. My eyes fluttered open. I was back in my dark room. The ocean sounds were still playing and, to my surprise, I still heard the seagulls despite getting rid of that option. I grabbed my phone and held it to my ear. "Oh my God," I muttered. It wasn't seagulls squawking. It was somebody screaming. It sounded faint, but I was certain it was a woman shrieking. You won't be surprised to hear that I immediately deleted the app off my phone. The next night, I was grateful to fall asleep to silence. I wrapped myself in my soft blankets and nodded off quickly. To my dismay, I found myself back on that damned beach. The overcast sky felt suffocating, as if the dark clouds were reaching down towards me. The stormy waves crashed thunderously. The sand was cold and wet. I slowly turned to my left and jumped when I realized the woman was right next to me. Once again, her inky black hair covered her face, and her dark red dress billowed violently in the harsh winds. Suddenly, she began screaming shrilly, as if she was terrified of something. I was about to run away when I woke up. To my horror, the shrieking hadn't stopped. I frantically looked around and realized it was blaring from my phone. "What the fuck?" I shouted, grabbing my phone. I didn't know how to make the noises stop since the app was gone. The shrieking turned to horrible wailing and moaning, followed by gurgling noises. The sounds were unbearable to listen to. I turned down the volume, but it had no effect. Finally, I shut my phone off and it stopped abruptly. I was afraid that weird app messed up my phone, so I brought it in for service the next day. I was disappointed to hear they didn't find anything wrong with it. I began to think I imagined that screaming in my half-asleep state. That night, I reluctantly got into bed around midnight. It took a while, but eventually, my tired eyes started drooping. I was back on the beach, and this time the sky was pitch black, except for twinkling stars and a large luminous moon. I was kneeling in the sand close to the shoreline, the surf breaking and ebbing quietly in the darkness. My hands felt wet, and I brought them to my eyeline. In the moonlight, I could see they were covered with a thick, dark liquid. A harsh metallic smell hit my nostrils. I looked down and cried out when I saw the body of a woman lying in the sand in front of me. Her dark hair lay in tangles, and her throat was slit. Blood covered her pale skin and red dress. My hand hit something hard, and I saw a bloody knife was sitting beside me in the sand. I sobbed fiercely, trying to process what was happening. It didn't feel like a dream this time. The other instances at the beach were phantasmal, but this one seemed too realistic. I wiped off the wet sand stuck to my bloody hands, got to my feet, and looked around for anyone else. Luckily, the beach was abandoned. I picked up the knife and dragged the woman into the water. I swam out as far as I possibly could and pushed her out to sea, dropping the knife into the water where I hoped it sank to the ocean floor. When I got home, I destroyed my phone. I went back to my usual restless nights and stopped dreaming about the beach. I don't know how this all happened. I wish I had a better explanation. All I can tell you is that if you do see the ReapSleep app, for the love of God, do not download it. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below, and tell me what you thought of this narration. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much more, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these narrations possible. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.